supplement traditional peacekeeping with a more robust enforcement of law and order in areas like Boko. This is a step in the right direction. Where lives are being lost and communities destabilized, the state must act not only to mediate, but to restore order decisively. And the word is decisively. We call on the National Security and the Interior Ministry to deepen engagement with local stakeholders, traditional authorities, youth groups, and civil society in order to address the root causes of these disturbances and to create sustainable peace architecture in these conflict-prone zones. Call for professionalism among journalists in conflict reporting. The GJA takes this opportunity to urge all journalists and media practitioners across the country to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, ethical responsibility, patriotism in reporting on conflict situations, particularly in regions experiencing protracted violence and social instability. The media has a critical role to play in times of conflict, not just in informing the public, but in shaping narratives that either inflame tensions or promote peace and reconciliations. The GJA strongly encourages journalists to exercise caution, accuracy, and sensitivity in the choice of language, sources, and images used in conflict reportage. We must be guided by the principles of truth, fairness, and national unity. Conflict reporting must not become a tool for ethnic profiling, political manipulation, or incitement. Rather, it should contribute meaningfully to peace building, conflict resolution, and national development. The GJA hereby warns journalists and media houses against contributing to the conflict in those areas through the spreading of disinformation, promoting hate speech, or using their platform to incite violence. Such conduct does not only tarnish the image of the noble profession, but also undermines national peace. Let it be known that the GJA will be the first to support law enforcement agencies in applying the full rigors of the law against any media practitioner who is found culpable in framing conflict through irresponsible or dangerous reportage. The association will not shield any journalist who breaches ethical standards or violates national security laws under the guise of press freedom. The association believes in media freedom, but we also believe in media responsibility. We should know that press freedom is not absolute. It comes with responsibility. The survival of our democracy depends not only on the freedom to report, but on the responsibility to report ethically and constructively. Let us report not just to inform, but to heal, to unite, and to build. GJA's encouragement to journalists. We encourage all journalists to stay fearless. The GJA stands solidly behind every journalist who continue to serve Ghana with integrity, courage, and a commitment to truth. We will continue to defend every journalist. We will not relent in our fight to ensure that you work in safety and dignity. In conclusion, we want to repeat what we have been saying with clarity and firmness, that journalism is not a crime, and attacks against journalists are attacks against the soul of democracy. We expect swift, tangible, and transparent action from the Ghana Police Service and the security agencies. Our demands are justified and our patience is fading. While we say zero tolerance for attacks, we will not be quiet, we will not be intimidated, and we will not allow the enemies of press freedom to win. Thank you, and may God bless journalists across the country.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, can we give him one more applause? Okay, so let me also use this opportunity to acknowledge our chairpersons from the various regions who are here. We have OT Regional Chairman, Nana Kwabena Into, and also we have the Chairman for Tema, Michael Dewonu, who is also here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question or you want clarification of any issue that you want the President to give additional information on that, we are going to take the questions in the batches of 5.
2, the capitation grant. 3, the NHIS that the NDC shamelessly boycotted the passage of the law. 4, the leap. 5, free maternal care.
So I want to first of all commend the national leadership for the swift action, especially with regards to Carlos Colony's case. He's a very active member of the Tema region, and I really appreciate national executive's action on this particular case. We know that the military uniform stands for discipline and honor, and so just as national president has reiterated, we want that discipline should be made manifest. And I want to ask the national president, apart from this particular one, please outline a number of action that will be taken. How soon should we expect some of these actions to be taken? It's given 7 days. If nothing is done.
So those were live updates from the press center where the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Kwabena Jumfo, was earlier addressing the media on issues and concerns raised with the recent attacks on journalists in the country. We understand that so far there have been more than 10 attacks on journalists across the country, a situation that they have strongly condemned and are calling for swift action and prosecution of culprits found to be involved in such acts. But we'll cross over now to Parliament, where final debates are going on the media budget review, and currently speaking on the floor of Parliament is the Minority Leader, Alexander Penyowake.
Allow false narrative to take root. Ghanaians deserve the truth about our fiscal health, inflation trends, currency stability, employment situation, social programs, debt management, and taxation policies. I need to remind them that upon assuming office, a directive was issued by the Chief of Staff, which directive led to thousands of jobs being lost. Many Ghanaian youth who had been employed were sacked, and an attempt to raise the matter on this House floor was resisted by the majority. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear. The story of Ghana from 2017 to 2024 was one of significant progress, and though tough decisions had to be taken amidst global and domestic challenges, we all saw that within half a year, this NDC, blaming the MPP for all economic woes, yet taking credit for the groundwork laid before. Mr. Speaker, we will address major claim in 10, exposing again the inconsistency, highlighting the true drivers of Ghana's recent economic development. Mr. Speaker, the mid-year review attempt to paint the former MPP government as fiscally reckless, citing, quote, balloon deficit, unquote, arrears of 6 billion in unpaid bills and 194 billion in contract commitment. Yet, yes, Ghana's deficit did spike in 2020, we admit, but context matters. Context matters. A global pandemic forced emergency expenditures and a banking sector cleanup to protect millions of depositors. These were extraordinary interventions, not wanton profligacy. If that money that today you claim is 60-40 had not been pursued, where would Ghana be? You mess up the economy, you mess up the banking sector. The billions that went to your financiers that you couldn't take steps to protect. Today, you claim that we messed the economy. The evidence is there, and you've exposed yourself. 60-40 is what you are called on the street of Accra. 60-40. 60-40 is your new name. 60-40. Give me 60, take 40. That is your new name. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the MPP government reduced the deficit sharply upon taking office from 9.3% of GDP in 2016 down to about 6% in 2017 and kept it near 5% through 2019. The 2020 deficit of 17% of GDP was a one-off crisis response mirrored worldwide, which saved lives and jobs. It is disingenuous for the finance minister to label that life-saving effort as reckless spending. Let us also correct the record on Ghana's public debt and the claim of alleged insolvency. It is true that debt to GDP rose under MPP, no doubt, we admit, from 56% in 2016 to around 80% in 2022. But what drove these? We inherited significant legacy costs, such as the energy sector debt, from their take or pay. They didn't analyze the contract, they didn't scrutinize, and they signed a take or pay contract and left it for a new government to inherit. These power contracts that were signed under the previous administration hit the economy, and it was a drain on public purse. I challenge them to rise to rebut this. We also weathered the external shocks. COVID-19 borrowing to cushion the economy and steep steady depreciation as global investors pulled back, and they know that. Crucially, we put those borrowed funds into productive use, investing in infrastructure, education. They left their e-blocks, we completed them. Industry and social programs that benefit Ghanaians today. If the state's finances were strained, it was in the course of building for the future and cleaning up of the mess, not to wanton waste. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, we took responsibility for top reforms to address debt issue. We initiated the IMF-supported recovery program in 2022 and undertook a painful domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Speaker, they lambasted us on this. We paid a high price. We are in opposition. But today, that painful decision that came at a cost to us is what you are relying on to build the economy. Can you deny that? Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasted that our debt to GDP ratio is at a 5-year low and that the public debt dropped by 113.7 billion in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, this is very misleading. The reality, however, is that no significant amount of debt has been paid off by this government. The statistical drop in debt ratio is largely due to the debt cancellation and restructuring achieved under the previous government, combined with the cedi's appreciation effect. We asked the minister, exactly how much of Ghana's public debt has this government repaid to claim credit for the reduction? The answer is inconvenient, virtually none. Ghana's debt improved because the MPP did the heavy lifting, including a historic external debt operation that achieved $5 billion outright debt forgiveness and 4.7 billion in debt service savings. That is real debt reduction. The current administration merely stepped into an improving situation which was engineered by its predecessors. Mr. Speaker, to further buttress this point, let us recall that under MPP stewardship, Ghana never defaulted on external debt until 2022 crisis hit at the tail end of our term. We consistently met debt service obligations until an unprecedented combination of events forced a brief halt. Even then, MPP swiftly devised solution, the Energy Sector Levy Act, to systematically pay down energy liability, fiscal responsibility law, capping deficit at 5% of GDP to instill discipline, and the debt exchange to restore sustainability. These are actions of responsible government, and we are proud we took such decisions, not a reckless one. The media review blasts our administration for high debt, but conveniently omit that by end 2024, Ghana's debt to GDP had actually fallen to about 70.5%. This decline was the fruit of the painful haircut and fiscal adjustment we undertook to reset the economy. Again, we take responsibility. We say sorry to Ghanaians. We had to take a painful decision to implement this, but you are taking advantage of these painful decisions without giving credit to us. Who is hypocrite in this matter? You are the one found wanting, and indeed, you are the political naysayers. You engage in double standard, and you are engaged in political hypocrisy. In short, the MPP cleaned up a grave situation, and now the new administration touts the cleaner floor as if it were their own accomplishment. What have you put in place? None. Mr. Speaker, let us address the narrative of wasteful spending under the NPP. The minister derided the former government's expenditure as waste, yet we recall vividly that in 2020, the same NDC was loud, calling for a greater expenditure on COVID-related activities to alleviate hardship. They said so in this very chamber. They talk of debt unsustainability today, but their solution so far has been to go back to the IMF and rely on new borrowing under stricter conditions. The truth is that the MPP invested in Ghana's future. We rolled out transformational policies like the free SHS, built roads, 13,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis. We introduced transformational policies to build the human resource capacity of our youth, such as the free SHS. Why are you quiet? We built 13,000 roads across the country and initiated the 1D1F to stimulate economic growth. Mr. Speaker, those investments are yielding dividends for our people. Meanwhile, the current government enjoys an IMF lifeline and fiscal space created by MPP's difficult reforms. They should be thanking the previous administration and not lambasting it. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasts that inflation has plunged from 23.8% in December 2024 to 13.7% by June 2025, implying some miraculous stabilization by the new administration. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation story requires a longer lens. Yes, inflation is down from its peak, and that is good news for everyone. But we must remember why inflation spiked in the first place and how this trend was already reversing before January 2025. The reality check is that, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation soared in 2022, peaked at over 50% year on year by December 2022, the highest in 22 years. This was not because of domestic fiscal indiscipline. It was largely imported pain, global supply shocks, COVID-induced supply chain disruptions, a surge in international oil prices, and the Russia-Ukraine war impact on food and fuel. Mr. Speaker, if this claim by us and will not shift, if this claim by us is unacceptable to our colleagues who are now in government, then I ask, why did President John Dramani Mahama recently say that the situation in Middle East would have effect on the economy? Therefore, he is inviting the finance minister and the energy minister to sit together to review certain government policies. If if international shocks have no effect, why did the president complain that the Middle East crisis is having an effect on the economy? What a shame. Mr. Speaker, we saw transport fares up. We saw the price of imported foods going up and stable prices surged worldwide. Ghana, being a small open economy, could not escape this wave. Mr. Speaker, the minister's own figure of 23.8% in December 2024 reflect this progress. To put this in perspective, pre-crisis inflation under MPP was lowest in decades. We ended 2019 at just 7.9% inflation, well within single digits. So while 13.7% in June 2025 is certainly much improved from the height of 2022, which we admit, it is not some unprecedented for a 4-year low, as the minister suggests. In fact, it is higher than what we achieved in normal times before the global crisis. And what has changed in 2025? The sharp disinflation is the first half of 2025. It's largely a continuation of the trend that MPP set in motion under the IMF program and our economic recovery policies. With stable fuel prices globally and the cedi regaining some strength, prices of imported goods began to ease. The minister himself admits that the recent inflation drop, quote, is not by chance or sheer luck, unquote. Indeed, this was by design of policies that began under the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. Mr. Speaker, it was MPP that negotiated the IMF support package, which restored investor confidence and unlocked funding. It was MPP that started the Gold for Oil program to moderate fuel prices, and it was MPP's fiscal adjustment that reined in excess liquidity. But to claim, so credit, or trumpet it as a vindication of 6-month work is premature. Ghana's inflation was already coming down, and the global condition provided a tailwind. There has been no bold new anti-inflation strategy from the current government beyond sticking with the IMF guided path set earlier. Let us also recall that Ghana's longer inflation history for this House. Mr. Speaker, under the previous NDC government, that is 2012 to 2016, inflation was often run in mid-teens and even surpassed 17%. At one point, Ghana faced hyperinflationary pressures. Indeed, going back further, we had over 40% inflation in 2000 and had to redominate the cedi in 2007 due to cumulative high inflation eroding the currency's value. In the year 2000, the government in power was your party. It was NDC, and you took us to a 40% inflation. Now, those storms are passing. Inflation is naturally receding. The NDC cannot credibly claim to have fixed the inflation in 6 months, when the truth is that in Ghana was already healing. We caution that the 13% inflation is still higher than our pre-crisis norm. There is more work ahead to bring it fully into single-digit target band. That work requires consistency, prudence, not celebratory laps after just half a year. I urge the finance minister, release monies to your ministers. Your ministers are idle. Your ministers are not working. Release their allocations to them. Pay the contractors. Mr. Speaker, the media review makes much of the Ghanaian cedi performance, with the minister jubilantly declaring cedi no apeke. He even claimed the recent cedi appreciation has never happened in the history of the country. Mr. Speaker, let's analyze this carefully. It is true that in the first part of 2025, the cedi strengthened against major currencies, an undoubtedly positive development, and we admit. But what are the underlying causes, and is this sustainable, I ask? First, context of 2022 must be highlighted. Yes, the cedi was one of the world's worst performing currencies that year, depreciating steeply, at one point losing over half of its value. It's a matter of public record. But again, This does not occur in isolation. I dare argue. In 2022, virtually all emerging economies fell short sharply against a surging US dollar. Emerging economies and their currencies fell short of the US dollar. Several Federal Reserve aggressive rate hikes made the dollar strong in decades. As I've already mentioned, the Ukraine conflict drove oil and commodity import costs up, sucking foreign exchange out of countries like ours. Ghana also faced a momentary loss of investor confidence before the IMF deal, which hurt forex inflows. In short, the 2022 was a storm for the city, and I concede. But I dare argue that despite all of this, the MPP government stabilized the city in 2023. After reaching its weakest point in late 2022, the city slide was arrested and partially reversed. The key was restoring confidence, securing the IMF agreement in 2023, commencing the debt restructuring, which signaled to markets that Ghana was addressing its debt and innovative policies like the gold for oil, where we battered gold for oil for fuel to reduce forex demand. By end 2024, the cedi depreciation has slowed dramatically. It was down only by 19% year on year against the dollar, a marked improvement from the free for all earlier. So when the new government took over the reins of affairs in January 2025, they inherited a stabilizing currency, not a perpetually dwindling one. Mr. Speaker, the cedi depreciation, now the cedi's appreciation in 2025. Indeed, from January through to June, the cedi strengthened significantly, which the minister touted as unprecedented. We do welcome a stronger cedi. We on this side welcome a stronger cedi. It eases the burden on import costs and brings some price relief to Ghanaians. However, claiming this as a proof of some unique NDC progress is misleading. Several factors have contributed to the cedi's rise, and they are not purely the result of fresh political genius. A major factor is renewed investor confidence and inflows on the back of the IMF program and improved fiscal outlook, a trajectory set in motion last year. Another factor is Ghana's record high gold exports and remittances in late 2024. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the NDC, whereas they have denied the successes of MPP in laying the foundation, they have quietly indicated that in their report to the IMF. That is why recently the IMF exposed you, that you have acknowledged that the stability you find today is as a result of the foundation laid by the Akufo-Addo government. Why did you refuse to acknowledge it in the dispatch box, but wrote a letter to the IMF to admit this? Mr. Speaker, these inflows from the IMF shored up our reserves. By end 2024, Ghana's gross international reserves stood at $8.9 billion, a healthy buffer well ahead of IMF targets. The minister in mid-year review proudly announces that reserves have further risen to $11.212 billion by June 2025. What he failed to clarify was that the $8.9 billion of that was inherited from the previous administration's efforts. The new addition in the first half of 2025 was just about $2.2 billion. Significant, yes, but not miraculous, given favorable trade winds and carryover programs. Crucially, Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana's heavy intervention in the forex market has played an unsustainable role in propping up the cedi, and this the IMF has pointed out. This the IMF has pointed out, yet you are quiet. Despite earlier denial, it took the IMF to reveal that the first quarter of 2025 alone, the BOG injected 1.4 billion of reserves into the market to support the cedi. Have you told Ghanaians this? Was this included in your media report? This kind of artificial support, effectively using scarce reserves to boost the cedi, can only be a short-term strategy. Indeed, the IMF has cautioned our government about the sustainability of this approach, urging that we reduce BOG's footprint and allow greater exchange rate flexibility going forward. On the ground, many importers and businesses will tell you a sobering truth. While the official interbank rate has shown a strong cedi, dollars have become scarce in the open market. A wide arbitrage has emerged. The cedi appears stronger on paper, but it is difficult for businesses to actually obtain forex at those rates. As one of my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, aptly put it, cedi no apeke, but Abochi has a dollar. The point is that the real economic strength comes from a currency's purchasing power, not just the exchange rate on a given day. This government must hear this. Mr. Speaker, in contrast, consider the currency stability under the MPP's first step. That's 2017 to 2019. During the period, the cedi's annual depreciation averaged around 8 to 10%. A remarkably stable performance compared to the 18 to 30% annual slide seen in the previous NDC era of 2012 to 2016. There were even stretches where the cedi was one of Africa's more stable currencies under Akufo-Addo's administration. We achieved this through disciplined fiscal management and innovative schemes like forward forex auctions and improved exports. It was only when external crisis hit that the cedi wobbled, and when they did, MPP was innovative. Mr. Speaker, now let me turn to their so-called 24-hour economy. They claim that they have introduced something they call 24-hour economy. They've touted it as a transformational plan to run Ghana's economy around the clock, spanning 8 pillars from Grow 24 to Connect 24. On paper, it promises 1.7 million jobs in 4 years and a productivity reboot. However, Mr. Speaker, this rhetoric of a nation that Ghana never sleeps collides with Ghana's own on-ground realities. Few African cities truly operate 24/7, and Accra is nowhere near a New York or Dubai. What we expect is for the government to make investment in the private sector, but there are no such signs. All they know is to focus in promoting Galamsey. Tripling daily operating hours in key sectors sounds impressive, but visibility is questionable. Ghana's economy cannot be willed into 24-hour cycle by slogan. It requires concrete capacity that currently seems lacking. There is a lack that this grand vision remains largely rhetorical, with little change on the factory floor or the farm gate beyond normal business hours. A glaring weakness of this 24-hour economy program is its heavy reliance on financing that may never fully materialize. The initiative cost is pegged at around $4 billion, yet government is only committing $300 to $400 million as seed capital. The rest is expected from the private sector, a lofty assumption in Ghana's current climate. But I dare ask, what are the incentives for the private sector? A situation where instead of creating jobs, you are sucking our youth from having their jobs. Then you say you are creating jobs. What foundation are you mounting this vision on? Mr. Speaker, this country must not be subjected to PR gimmicks and political rhetorics. We want action, and the NDC must know that the clock is ticking. We do not have time. Your 4 years, almost 7 months gone. Time is not on your side. Do something before the people boot you out. Mr. Speaker, even if money is found Implementation bottlenecks abound. A 24-hour economy needs reliable 24-hour power supply. Do we have a reliable power supply? Since you came, doomsday is what we see. The minority has suggested to this government that pursue reforms at ECG. Reforms were started. Pursue, and we will support you. What you are instead doing is coming out with new levies, because that is a convenient way. We want to tell you that if you are serious about this 24-hour economy, your duty is to undertake reforms and focus on agriculture. What you are doing will take you nowhere. You cannot continue to impose levies. At ECG, you started with 14% and then ended with another 2.7%. Then you came with another doomsday levy, all in an attempt to resolve the crisis. Yet, the key thing to pursue, which is a reform, you have abandoned it. Are you serious, or you are still in rhetoric? Mr. Speaker, now they claim a certain big push, and they have selected certain roads that they claim that these roads will be constructed. Mr. Speaker, we wish them well. However uneven we found these to be, at least we want to give you the chance. Let's see how you roll them out in the next 6 months. Mr. Speaker, we call on the NDC to acknowledge the investment that were made in the educational sector. Happily, Dr. Educhum is in this chamber. The investment made by he and Matthew Opoku Prempeh as sector ministers. Mr. Speaker, in the education ministry, not only did we roll out the free SHS, we also, Mr. Speaker, came up with a TVET, make sure that the TVET was free, and also introduced a STEM program. Mr. Speaker, you may have to. Mr. Speaker, today.
Honourable member just address the chair.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, to date, over 3.1 million Ghanaian students have benefited from the free SHS. They've gained access to education, a thing that many Ghanaian youth never dreamed of. Mr. Speaker, the NPP must be commended. Mr. Speaker, we would want to conclude by urging the NDC. You have an opportunity to govern. Focus on governance. Create a Ghana that is an opportunity for all. Stop hounding the Chief Justice. Stop politicizing the judiciary. Focus on a Ghana that will be attractive for all. Focus on a Ghana that all of us will be proud to be citizens of. Do not think that the power you have will last forever. The power you have is left with 3.5 years. Mr. Speaker, we have had our chance. We've made our mistakes. We have come out, we've chalked successes. And we admit that we couldn't have been perfect. But the expectation is that you who said you could do it better can do it better for all to see. Mr. Speaker, that said, and without more, I would want to thank you for the opportunity granted me, and may God bless our homeland Ghana. Thank you.
And those were live updates from Parliament as Minority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Markin took his turn on discussions on the floor on the media budget review. We'll cross over now to the presidency as the president is swearing in the new batch of deputy ministers who recently were approved by Parliament and are due to be sworn in to assume their office. We'll take you straight now into Parliament, into the presidency where President John Dramani Mahama is officially speaking and preparing to announce, will officially swear them in. We'll go there now.
Outreach. It is therefore essential that they are properly resourced and staffed with capable leadership. This approach is not merely symbolic, it is structural. It reflects our strategic intent to deliver results, reduce waste, and streamline governance. In the same spirit, we have finalized the staffing of the Office of the President. When the list is submitted to Parliament as required by legislation, it will be evident that this administration is committed to reducing the size of government. Compared to the 336 staff that were listed under the Office of the President in the previous administration, the current numbers are significantly lower. Additionally, cost-saving reforms such as reductions and elimination of fuel allocations, travel budgets, and other perks are yielding important fiscal space. These are funds that we are redirecting to priority sectors such as education, health, infrastructure, and energy. Ladies and gentlemen, this new posture of efficiency is not just mere rhetoric. It is already producing measurable gains. And allow me to share some encouraging highlights of our economic turnaround. Ghana's fiscal deficit has narrowed sharply from 5.8% of GDP in 2024 to 1.1% by the middle of the year 2025. And this is better than our set target of 2.4%. Public debt has declined from 726.7 billion in December 2024 to 613 billion in June 2025. This has reduced our debt to GDP ratio from 61.8% to 43.8%. Inflation has fallen from 23.2% to 13.7%, the lowest level since 2021. The cedi has appreciated significantly from 16.2 cedis to $1 in the late 2024 to 10.4 cedis to $1 in July 2025. This has been driven by fiscal discipline, by strong fiscal performance, and investor confidence. Our GDP growth rate has risen from 3.2% in Q1 2024 to 5.3% in Q1 2025, with non-oil growth up from 4.2% to 6.8%. These improvements have occurred without a supplementary budget and are the result of prudent public financial management, payroll audits, tax reforms, and better debt operations. Importantly, we're seeing the real-life impact of these policies. According to GUTA, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, and other associations, prices of over 4,500 essential goods have declined due to the strengthening of the cedi. For most Ghanaians, this is what matters most: relief at the market and relief at the fuel pump. In line with our constitutional obligations, we're also honoring all our fiduciary and statutory payments on time. In the first half of the year, we paid $700 million in Eurobond obligations on time, on target. We paid 10 billion cedis to domestic bondholders. We paid 2.9 billion to the District Assembly's Common Fund. We paid 2.7 billion to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. Nursing and teacher training allowances from January to June 2025 have been paid in full. 72.8 million Ghana cedis in capitation grants have been paid to public basic schools. And a full refund to 97,421 students under our no-fee stress policy, including persons with disabilities, has been fulfilled. We're also moving rapidly from policy to execution under our Big Push infrastructure initiative. Authorization letters have been issued for key projects, including the Oti River Bridge at Dambai, the Wahan to Muhamile Navrongo roads, okay, Sukwaru supporters are here. The Adenta Dodoa Dua Carriageway, Shai Osudoku and Kwa not here, so. The Jinejine Sampa and several other major road projects are going to see reconstruction. Procurement is currently underway, and soon I'll commence sort cutting for the start of the big push projects at 5 locations to represent all the road sector big push projects. We've selected 5 locations to cut sort. Additionally, small-scale gold exports through the reformed gold board mechanism have more than doubled in tonnage, with export values up nearly 180% in the first half of 2025. This has boosted our foreign reserves and contributed to the city's stability. Through fiscal discipline, we've kept expenditure 14% below target. This was driven in part by interest payment savings of 5.1 billion Ghana cedis, prove that we're not just cutting costs, but we're strategically prioritizing spending. Colleagues, ours is a disciplined administration, one that never abandons its social responsibilities, even in the pursuit of economic stability. Leadership, as I've always said, is not about austerity alone, it's about choices. And we're choosing to spend wisely while investing boldly. As newly sworn-in deputy ministers, you are now part of a team that is restoring Ghana's economic and institutional foundations. But more than that, you are now custodians of the Ghanaian people's trust and their expectations. This is not a ceremonial role, it is a solemn duty to our people. You are to serve with humility, honesty, diligence, and accountability. Ghana does not need ministers who are inaccessible, arrogant, or aloof. Ghana needs leaders who will listen, who will act, and who will deliver for them. I therefore remind you once again to comply fully with the Assets Declaration regime. Adhere strictly to the government's essential travel policy. And before you leave the presidency today, make sure you obtain a copy of the Code of Conduct for Political Appointees. You must make that code your compass. It should be your second Bible or your second Quran. Read it diligently and let it guide your conscience and your conduct. Let it remind you that public office is not an entitlement, it is a covenant with the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana hold us to a higher standard than our opponents, and so let us work to meet their expectations and let us not disappoint them. Additionally, you must work with your ministers as a team. The Constitution says that deputy ministers are appointed to assist their ministers, not undermine their ministers. And so work as a team with your ministers because our objective is the same. We are measured not by the policies we draft, but by the lives that we improve. The people who elected us are not interested in flowery speeches or bureaucratic excuses. They want jobs, they want affordable food, they want hospitals that work, they want safe roads, and they want quality education. In short, they want results. Before I conclude, allow me to condemn in the strongest terms the recent incident involving the manhandling of some journalists by our security personnel. Such conduct is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. I have instructed that the incident be thoroughly investigated and that the officers involved be sanctioned accordingly. As a card-bearing member of the Ghana Journalists Association, I will not preside over a government that abuses or intimidates journalists. in the lawful exercise of their duty. A free and responsible press is indispensable to our democracy, and we must all work to protect the media. I'll soon convene a meeting between the heads of the security services and the leadership of the GJA to plan a program to orient our troops to recognize the media not as enemies, but as partners in development. I also take this moment to extend my heartfelt condolences to the families of the 15 young people who lost their lives in a tragic accident in Obogu recently in the Ashanti region. This is a stark reminder of why our Big Push program prioritizes the dualization and rehabilitation of our major highways to reduce the spate of accidents. Honorable Deputy Ministers, friends and family, the Ghanaian people are not standing still. They are striving, they are hustling, and making sacrifices every day, and they expect us to match their urgency with action. Let us not treat leadership as a 4-year formality. It is a living daily contract, renewed by action and broken by neglect. Let us serve with urgency, let us serve with honor and with unshakable resolve. And if we do, I have no doubt that the people of Ghana will feel the difference. They will see the progress, and they will renew our mandate with even greater confidence. May God bless you in your work. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. I thank you.
Please, let's do it better. Let's do it better. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for those illuminating words. I believe our newly sworn in deputy ministers have taken note. Your Excellency, as our distinguished deputy ministers prepare to undertake their responsibilities in advancing the government's agenda and serving the people of Ghana with utmost dedication and integrity, may I invite Honorable Mohammed Adams Superu to speak on behalf of his colleagues. Shall we please welcome him with a round of applause, please?
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajman, the Honorable Chief of Staff, senior government officials, the General Secretary of our party.
Minister Atuforsen was able to drop this debt up to 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. This is clearly unprecedented. Somebody says that, where did he get the money from? That it is exchange rate. It takes intelligence to know that you can use exchange rate to pay your debts. It takes wizardry, economic wizardry, to know that you can use exchange rate alone to pay a lot of your debt. Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't he? Mr. Speaker, another key point that we take from the media review is that we are going to approach our infrastructure development more intentionally than we have done in the past. So the 55 major stalled infrastructure projects, we will not pursue all of them at once, because if we spread ourselves thinly, given our debt obligations, we might not be able to make significant progress. And so the minister has decided to concentrate on a few of them. Mr. Speaker, the minister is also following up to ensure that we clean the public sector payroll. And he has reported to us that he has conducted a payroll audit. And so far, what the audit reveals is that we have 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries identified. 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries. This highlights the level of corruption that has pervaded our public sector. That we cannot verify 14,000 workers, and that 53,311 separated staff are still drawing salaries. So 53,311 staff who have left the public service, separated, are still earning salaries from government, whilst we cannot verify 14,000 workers. So in all, 450 million Ghana cedis is going as unearned salaries. Mr. Speaker, another major thing that the minister has indicated in the mid-year review is that the sinking fund is going to be populated with funds again. Indeed, I recall when the minister stated that he was going to begin to put US dollars in our foreign accounts and Ghana cedis in our local currency accounts, a colleague minister, a minister of state shouted, why is he going to do that? All the time when we come, we build these funds, and the day we leave office, and people will come and squander all the funds. Squander all the funds. Why is he going to build another fund again? So the MPP will come in future and come and squander all the funds. When the finance minister, when I turned to the minister and I told him that I'm very sure that for a very long time the MPP will not come. Mr. Speaker, the minister has also indicated that major reforms are taking place in the energy sector. Indeed, the Energy Sector Levies Act is expected to yield 2.9 billion, but that is not enough. There is an effort to transition to gas usage so that we can drastically cut down on our energy expenditure. And that is my response to the entreaties of the minority leader that we must address the wastages in the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, when you listen to the media review, one team runs through the media review, and that is the team of fiscal discipline. Fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, by 2023, our economy had gotten to a very critical point. Our debt to GDP ratio had peaked to 84%. Inflation had soared to 54%. Mr. Speaker, I could not believe it to hear that fiscal deficit shrank from 10.7% of GDP in 2022 to 1.1% of GDP in 2025. These are measures that could not have been achieved without painful fiscal discipline. I was also impressed to see that our debt to GDP had also declined from 84% to 43.8%. Mr. Speaker, clearly, I have heard my colleague and the NPP complain about lack of spending. Lack of spending. We are not spending. We are not spending. Mr. Speaker, it is true that we are not spending on wasteful expenditures. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value to the state when you spend 280 million Ghana cedis building a structure that you are supposed to spend 81 million Ghana cedis building? What is the value to the state? So that you can boast that you were spending, and you spent 280 million Ghana cedis to build the Bank of Ghana headquarters when you were told that you could build a structure with 81 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value of spending? What is the value of spending when you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to dig a hole in the name of building a cathedral for God? What is the value of spending? How can you commend yourselves for spending when you are spending monies digging holes and cathedrals were not emerging from those holes? Mr. Speaker, it is true that we may not be spending as much as you will want us to spend, but that is because we will not engage in wasteful spending. Mr. Speaker, I have heard the minority leader's response to the minister's accusation that the inadequacy in terms of revenue generation is as a result of smuggling. But that is the truth. There is excessive smuggling. And on this score, I will urge the security agencies to be up and doing to try and reduce the levels of smuggling that we inherited. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance has to be commended for the leadership that he has demonstrated in navigating our economy through turbulent global headwinds. I have heard the minority want to go back to Russia-Ukraine war. This morning, when I left my house, I was watching CNN. And even yesterday, Russia has sent some bombs into Ukraine and bombed some buildings. So the Russia-Ukraine war has not ended. And yet, the city has rebounded. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the Ghana city has become stronger. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the cost of fuel products in Ghana has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the price of maize has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine, and yet the price of sugar has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine, and yet the price of rice has reduced. Can you explain to Ghanaians why for all these years you have heaped every misfortune of Ghana on poor Ukrainians and aggressive Russians, when today they can see that Russia is still firing Ukraine and yet their economy is getting better? Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that the NPP spend most of their tenure misleading Ghanaians and lying and attributing every misfortune to the Russians and the Ukrainian misfortunes. But it is obvious that Papa has come, and Ghanaians are seeing the difference, that their cedi has become stronger, the dollar has become weaker, the British pound has become weaker, the major foreign currencies have become weaker in relation to the Ghana cedis, and the Ghana cedis has appreciated in an unprecedented manner in recent history. Mr. Speaker, they have seen also that interest rates have reduced. I heard the minority leader saying that the NDC government is doing nothing about the private sector. Doing nothing about the private sector? How true is that? Do you really understand the private sector? Do you really understand the private sector? You are champions of the private sector. Mr. Speaker, the champions of the private sector drove interest rates to 40% to an extent that the private sector could not borrow from our banks. That is the champions of the private sector. Since assuming office, interest rates have reduced. Inflation has reduced. The cedi has become stronger. The dollar has reduced. These are the things that the private sector is looking for. When the private sector is able to go to the bank and there's liquidity in the banks and they can borrow at lower interest rates and expand their businesses, they prefer macroeconomic stability as against tax exemptions. The private sector prefers macroeconomic stability as against tax exemptions. So the era when every day we were inundated in this house with applications for tax exemptions instead of focusing on driving interest rates down, on reducing inflation, on reducing the exchange rates so that businesses can thrive and create jobs for the people, those days are long gone. Mr. Speaker, in 6 months, barely 7 months, the private sector is becoming the real engine of growth. The real engine of growth. I listened to the minority leader. He asked about jobs. He asked, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? The jobs are occurring in the private sector. There's a lot of money in the banks chasing businesses. Just walk out and ask any banker. A lot of money in the banks chasing businesses. Do you know why? They are chasing businesses because government has stopped borrowing from the local banks. Indeed, I've just heard a colleague MP say that it's not just the private sector. Indeed, they are chasing MPs with loans. Mr. Speaker, so the economy is doing well. Growth has rebounded. Our fiscal deficit has reduced to 3.1% of GDP from 7.9 in 2024. Gross international reserves have increased to 11.12 billion US dollars, covering almost 5 months of imports. We have achieved a primary surplus for 2 consecutive quarters, $2.1 billion in Q1 2025, according to the Bank of Ghana. Debt to GDP ratio declined from 61.8% in December 2024 to 55% through active liability management. Ghana has been upgraded by the major credit ratings agencies. Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana. Standard & Poor's Global Ratings have also revised their ratings on Ghana, and Ghana is looking very good to the international financial institutions. Mr. Speaker, There may be some challenges with revenue mobilization, but even then, the story is very good. In the first quarter of 2025, I think that they were able to rake in over 5 billion Ghana cedis. Efforts are being made to modernize our revenue collection agencies, and we believe that very soon we will begin to see real progress in that sector. Mr. Speaker, we will spend, but we will spend wisely. We will be spending over 28.7 billion on capital expenditure. Over 28.7 billion. In the 2024 budget, the MPP spent only 28.7 billion. But in our 2025 budget, we have allocated 32.9 billion to capital expenditure. So we will spend. Mr. Speaker, we are spending on all the social intervention programs, and we have increased them. Senior high school, well taken care of. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, there is innovation in social intervention under the NPP government, who claim they are private sector oriented. They spend mostly on public sector institutions. But this year, we are spending on 60 private senior high schools. So we're not only spending on government senior high schools, but we're also spending on some private senior high schools. So we are including the private sector, even in spending on social intervention. We have increased the allocation to LEAP. We have increased the capitation grant. We have increased almost every social intervention program. Mr. Speaker, we are strategic in our direction. We are going to focus on agricultural transformation. Indeed, we are already beginning to see progress in the agricultural sector. In the mid-year review, we are told that agriculture led in the growth figures of this half year. So clearly, we are making progress in the area of agriculture, and that is how we intend to drive down food inflation. Mr. Speaker, we are investing in the Development Bank, and the Development Bank has already announced a 500 million financial support program for the agricultural sector. Mr. Speaker, we're expanding the digital economy, and Mr. Speaker, our abolition of the obnoxious electronic levy has given confidence, and many more people are involved in electronic transactions. In April 2025 alone, mobile money transactions reached an all-time high of 351.7 billion Ghana cedis. Mobile money transactions in April alone reached an all-time high of 351.7 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, that is how much confidence Ghanaians now have, having abolished the electronic levy, and Ghanaians are using the electronic highway to transact their businesses. The number of transactions increased from 764 million transactions in March 2025 to 778 million transactions in April. That's just 1 month jump. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that the policy that we initiated and implemented in the abolition of the e-levy is indeed generating positive results. But Mr. Speaker, We are not yet out of the woods. We are not yet out of the woods. And so we will take constructive criticism. We need to continue the fiscal discipline. We need to spend, but spend in the right places. We need to fight corruption. We need to transform our governance. We need to create jobs for the youth. We need to invest more in agriculture. And I can see that when you read the new initiatives outlined by the Minister of Finance, these are the new focus areas. So we have launched the job for the youth. We have also launched and established the gold board, which is also having an impact in terms of the reduction in the dollar rate to the cedi. And all these interventions are generating positive results. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, this NDC government is a government that has kept every promise that we have made to Ghanaians so far. Mr. Speaker, we promised to establish a lean government, and we have established a lean government. We have appointed only 60 ministers of state and deputy ministers of state, because that was what we promised Ghanaians. We have abolished the development authorities, except the Northern Development Authority, which originally was what was agreed upon until the whole area became flooded with all sorts of development authorities. Mr. Speaker, the fight against corruption continues relentlessly. And the Attorney General and Minister of Justice is going to prosecute all those who are involved in corruption under the MPP administration. And we will not be deterred. We will not be deterred. Corruption has to be fought, because if we do not fight corruption, all the gains that we are registering will be lost in no time. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy, which is a key pillar in our economic strategy, will be rolled out very soon. And I have listened to the minority leader. He has provided some useful suggestions, and I can assure him that I have sat in cabinet, and many of the things that you have raised are indeed key considerations in implementing a 24-hour economy. You need an infrastructure base to support running an economy for 24 hours. Key among it is energy. So we are taking steps to boost our energy generation capacity in the country. We are taking steps to boost law enforcement capabilities so that people can work 24 hours without fear of crime and violence. Indeed, we are looking at the various possible economic nodes. So the northern sector will have a whole strategy that it will focus on. The Volta Basin will have a whole strategy that it will focus on. The coastal belt will have a whole strategy that it will focus on. The cities and the rural areas and the mining sectors. Every sector of our economy has some strategy that we are focusing on as part of the 24-hour economy strategy. Very soon, we will bring the Directorate of the 24-hour economy to come and give us further briefings of the details of the rolling out of that program. So let me assure you that the 24-hour economy will be implemented, and it is going to be a game changer. Mr. Speaker, our economy is turning around. We are recovering. Inflation has come down. The cedi has rebounded. The dollar has reduced in value in relation to the cedi. Fiscal discipline is being adhered to. We are fighting corruption strenuously. and we are retooling our public sector to make it more efficient, more effective, and also less wasteful of public resources. The Minister for Finance, Honorable Atuforsen, needs to be commended highly for his leadership. He needs to be commended highly for his discipline. He needs to be commended highly for his wisdom. Mr. Speaker, in the past, we were told of some economic wizards being paired with certain candidates so that they will perform economic miracles. When those wizards assumed office, all the children in the village were crucified. Mr. Speaker, the economy was brought to a standstill. It collapsed. Atuforsen is not a vice president. Atuforsen is just one of us, a colleague member of parliament that we elevated to the Minister of Finance. And within 7 months, he has done things that have never been seen in the history of the financial management of this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude on the note of Boku. Mr. Speaker, we are not running away from Boku. We, NDC government, we are not running away from Boku. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, for those of you who have chosen to have a very short memory, Boku was a very peaceful place from 1984 till 2001 when Kufuor took over as president. That is it. Those are the facts. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you don't know about Boku. Let me tell you about Boku. And you can go and check the records. If you want us to debate it, I can fix a date and we'll debate it and I'll give you the records. Mr. Speaker, the problem in Boku was caused under the NPP administration. Under the NPP administration. That is what happened. Once Akufo-Addo was president, he allowed somebody to be appointed as a rival chief in Boku, and that is the cause of the problem. And once Akufo-Addo was president, that rival chief was taken into Boku. That is the cause of the problem of Boku. And I am assuring you that President John Dramani Mahama will solve the Boku problem once and for all. Boku problem will be solved once and for all by John Dramani Mahama. We are not rushing. We don't want to be populist. We have confidence in the Asantehene, and we leave the matter in his hands. And I can assure you that Boku will be solved. Mr. Speaker, on that note, let me thank our friends in the minority. Why am I thanking them? They stayed away from the presentation of the mid-year budget. But they have come to debate the mid-year budget. So I thank them. Let me thank the majority because we have been steadfast with the Minister of Finance, supported him, implemented all his policies, enacted all the legislation that has enabled the positive gains that we are seeing in the economy to inure to the benefit of ordinary Ghanaians. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank you very much. Leader.
Members, can we have some order? Honourable members, order. Honourable members, may I please ask whether the minister responsible for finance will want to conclude, make a concluding remark. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I know my brother, Honorable Afenyo Markin, the Osahin. There are times when Togbe, you know, there are times when
There are times when Togbe will exercise his magnanimity and his sense of mercy in a way that surprises everybody. And I know that this is one of those times. This is one of those times when we will be able to prevail on the Osahini, the Togbe, to allow the Deputy Minister for Finance to conclude on Normally, when we have finished, the ministers are allowed to thank us for the messages, the arguments, the debates, the pieces of advice, and constructive criticisms that are embedded in this debate. And I believe that, given that the finance minister is unavoidably absent, my brother will allow the deputy minister, who is one of us, who is a friend of the Osahini, to conclude on behalf of the Minister for Finance. I make an application for him to be allowed to conclude on behalf of the Minister of Finance.
Leader.
Speaker, with respect, the leader of government business has made an application. Such applications are generally not opposed. But since he says that the deputy minister is going to thank us and also going to assure us that he will carry the sentiment of the House to government, I pray that this will be done. Mr. Speaker, our respected friend Ampim loves to debate. The past days that we started this debate, I didn't see him on the list. I know that he would be tempted. Mr. Speaker, I know that he will be tempted to debate, but yes, please. I know that he will be tempted to debate. Therefore, Honorable Deputy Minister, you know that we have a long way to go in this House. Don't breach trust. Don't breach trust. Don't throw any low blow. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I will yield to the prayer of the leader of the House. But please just be in your diplomatic best and within 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, and just 2 minutes. Do the right thing so that in future when an application is made for you, we will not oppose. You know you have a business here. What actually brought you was this, your business. And we've also agreed to the other paper addendum. So anything negative you do may...
Honourable Minority Leader,
may affect.
I can assure you that the Deputy Finance Minister will not do anything negative.
Mr. Speaker, I just also want to say this to assure my back.
Yes.
That he will do the right thing.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Well. Before giving the floor to the Deputy Minister for Finance, let me acknowledge the presence of Project Abroad, led by Theophilos Etu Jonah, Regional Coordinator. They are from various countries: Germany, France, USA, UK, and Colombia. They are 15 in numbers. On behalf of the House, I welcome you. May you have a fruitful stay. Yes, Honorable Deputy Minister for Finance, you have the floor. Ampin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, my grandpa told me about patience and posterity. No. Under normal circumstances, this should be nothing. But you know, Mr. Speaker, you see, when I am even using this bike box, they would raise all manner of things, but it's okay, Mr. Speaker. The mood in this house is one of cooperation. I will not object to
Honorable MP, please get up
it's fine.
your place
but
and then
colleagues,
address us. No,
you should
just
always
be there.
remember the evil you do to others would always come and haunt you. But I have no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on 24th of this month, the Minister for Finance, Dr. Kesil Atoforsen, was in this House on the authority of His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, to present the mid-year review of the 2025 budget in line with Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker, as has been the practice in this House, and in accordance with our standing orders, members have taken turns to express their opinions on the statement presented by my boss. Mr. Speaker, today I count myself the luckiest Deputy Minister in President Mahama's administration because Ato is the best minister any deputy can wish for. It seldom happens that a Minister for Finance will yield such an important podium to his deputy. Dr. Atoforsen, God bless you. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to thank honorable members for an engaging debate, some made in good faith and others with obvious mischief and misrepresentations. Since our colleagues on the other side were not present to listen to the Minister for Finance at first hand, we may forgive them for the misrepresentation since they may be speaking based on hearsay. However, Mr. Speaker, kindly permit me to correct some of the misrepresentations made by some colleague members. The Honorable Abna Osei Asari stated, and I quote, "If the cedi has appreciated against the US dollar, external interest payments should come down. It has rather increased by 1 billion cedis." Mr. Speaker, I want to state that this assertion is totally incorrect. In fact,
all right, and so all that you've heard over the past hour or more has been the conclusion of the debate on the mid-year budget review by the two leaders of the House, started with the Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin and then by the Majority Leader Mahama Yariga. Right now, the minority MPs have been trying to heckle the Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Nyanko Apim, who is more or less concluding debate, so that following which the House would then vote to adopt or approve it. Largely the argument made by the Minority Leader has been that everything in the mid-year budget review has been basically a confession of failure. He describes it the organization of Ghana's economic funeral. And largely we've had the majority leader also respond to all of those and made a case strongly that an economic wizard in the person of the finance minister has changed the dynamics. Stay with TV3. We'll be back with more, especially on News 360.